This is the Stock Trend Reality Podcast, episode 204.
And it felt like I was going down. I felt completely beat up by everything around me. So I touched myself like that victim card to my forehead, you know.
This is the Stock Trading Reality Podcast, where you get to see the realistic side of a trader's journey. Get inspired and stay motivated by everyday normal people who are currently on their journey to trading success. And this is your host. He has a major man crush on Hugh Jackman. Play trader.
There's some irony here because literally we never had any problems. And then on episode 200, which I realize by the time this goes live, that's going to be a few episodes ago. But I screwed up the fun fact. And Ches and I were talking about something, and it was perfect. It was beautiful to the fact where I was telling my wife about it, and she thought it was hilarious. But we're going to do the fun fact again, which is what you just heard. But for full disclosure's sake, Ches and I have actually already talked about this. So Ches,
Clay ruined it,
and I did. That's the great irony. I ruined it on episode 200. I mean, I guess it was bound to happen. Why not happen on episode 200? But yes, I do absolutely have a man crush on Hugh Jackman. The guy can sing. The guy can dance. The guy can act. If you've ever seen any of the X-Men movies, Wolverine, the guy can get jacked beyond his mind. So what can't the guy do? As I said in the first fun fact, he's probably currently day trading on his Robinhood app and making just thousands upon thousands of dollars in an area with bad service. That's probably how good he is. It seems everything he does. So Hugh Jackman for me, definitely I have a man crush on the guy. I'm just not quite sure what he can't do because he seems to be good at everything he attempts. And unfortunately, I know what Ches is going to answer, but you as listeners don't know what he's going to answer. But Ches, you have to tell the same story again because it's a pretty classic story, and it'll lead into a future fun fact that's already been written out. But my first question is, what are your thoughts on Hugh Jackman? And my second question is, do you have a man crush on anybody? You know, I guess, what is your man crush status in regards to just all the men out there?
So I obviously know Hugh Jackman from the larger roles he's played, like X-Men and stuff like that, and he's just a beast of a person. But Kelly had some of her coworkers in from the Front Range, and we watched, what is it, Man of Show or something? What is that actually called, Clay?
No, you got to tell it the way you did.
It's never going to happen that way.
I know. I'm so disappointed. But I'll retell it, okay? Because this is what I was telling my wife last night at dinner was I asked, now you as listeners are my wife, Abby. I said, yeah. So I asked Ches, we did the fun fact about my man crush being Hugh Jackman. And I asked Ches, what are your thoughts on Hugh Jackman? And do you have a man crush? And he starts to talk about, so Kelly, I thought you said her nurse friends or whatever. But I said, yeah, she had some of her nurse friends over. And, then they're watching this movie. And Ches says, he's not a very good movie guy, or he's not a big movie guy, but he was watching this movie and it was like a passion project or something for Hugh Jackman. And there was just like singing and stuff, but it was actually a really good movie. And I thought
it was like a musical, and I was like, wow, usually this wouldn't be like up my alley, and I wouldn't expect Hugh Jackman to be in it, but I was like, I had to sit there the whole time, and I like wouldn't leave to go to the bathroom. I was like, I'm watching this all the way through, and I was so glad I did. But yeah, he is just the man that can do everything. It's kind of ridiculous. And yes, I absolutely do have a man crush on him because that's just like the amount of talent is absurd. It's just insane.
Yeah, and exactly. And I knew that he had some stuff on Broadway, so I don't think I had the shock effect that you clearly did because, to think Wolverine and then all of a sudden he's in some musical singing and dancing and stuff. What is going on? But eventually I was like, Ches, are you talking about The Greatest Showman? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, no, that movie is really good. And in fact, one of the fun facts in the future is going to be that's one of my newest favorite movies is The Greatest Showman. So I apologize for you, loyal listeners. In the future, you are going to hear us talk about The Greatest Showman again. And we'll probably reference this discussion. But to hear that Ches was like, actually, that was a really good movie. And then there's a future fun fact coming that it's actually one of my newest favorite movies. So, Ches, it sounds like you feel that I'm totally justified. If you want to get up to go to the bathroom, I mean, that's a really good movie.
Yeah, and like I always say, I'm not by any means a big movie guy at all. And I was like, well, I can't leave. Like, I have to watch all of this. It's that good. So yeah, it was pretty. That's pretty telling. That's a very high compliment to get from me.
Yeah, and I was the same way. I was kind of a little bitter going into it. Like, oh, goodness, honestly, my parents were like, "Hey, you guys should watch Greatest Showman," and I'm like, I love you, Mom and Dad, but I'm a grown man now. I'm a grown man. I got hair in my chest. What is this Greatest Showman musical stuff? And then I was like, Ches, my bladder was about to explode. I'm not going anywhere. And it turned out to be a great movie, but we got to move on. We got to move on, and we'll be talking about the Greatest Showman in a few episodes anyways, when that fun fact comes back up. But today, tonight or this morning, whenever you're listening to this, we recorded it during the day. Ches and I met ourselves another great data point, a data point of our crustiness on why we're not very compassionate for people that will always want to throw out all these excuses, all this woe is me, all this I can't get ahead, all this, sort of victim mentality stuff. We now have another example where we can gladly link people to this. Now, we've had many other beasts on here. We've had many other, data points, but it's always good. The more data, the better in terms of, there really are no excuses if you really do want it. And that's what we have with Tomasz. He goes by the same name in the chat room, and he is over in Scotland, as we'll talk about. So if you're a fan of Scottish accents and then really bad Scottish accents, aka mine, then you're going to really enjoy this podcast. But in all seriousness, great story. Somebody that wants to be a trader, is trading, is doing very well at trading so far since he's gone live. And as far as I'm concerned, is only going to get better because, as we'll talk about, he's discovered a key mental component about losses, how to deal with losses. How do you actually quantify, do I feel okay with that number? Do I feel okay with that loss or not? Because I get it. Ches and I have said we're guilty. A lot of people say, you gotta be comfortable with the loss. And that is true. But how do you actually quantify that comfort level? That's one of the rabbit holes we go down. And, Tomasz offers up some very practical and worthwhile advice. So without further ado, let's head to Scotland and talk with Tomasz. Tom, welcome to the show.
Hello, guys.
Now, we just discussed before we got recording, because I'm not a very intelligent individual, that you said, just call me Tom because your real name is Tomasz? Is that right? See, is close enough?
Close enough. That's right.
Oh, yeah. I'm such an idiot. Ches, do you know can you say it? Let's say Ches's attempt. Maybe we're
I thought it was Tomasz, but it's Thomas with an SH at the end, so Tomasz or something. But I know I'm butchering it too. But Clay, I just love that Clay said that he wasn't going to attempt it, and then he starts off the podcast attempting it. But
Tomasz is actually spot on.
Okay, cool. Look at that. See, Clay, I'm taking over the podcast.
Yeah,
now.
Whatever. And you're right, Ches. I did say that, but I don't know. I figured I might want to try. I want to see how I could operate under the pressure of knowing that people will hear this, and I clearly failed miserably, but that's okay. Now, Tom, you are located in the UK, right?
Yes, near Edinburgh, Scottish capital.
I remember that place from the movie Braveheart. Have you ever seen Braveheart?
Oh, yeah, of course.
And now I have talked to another, I don't remember where this person was, but Braveheart is inaccurate in the sense of, wasn't Robert the Bruce, wasn't he more of your hero rather than William Wallace?
Yeah, it's actually, I stay near Dunfermline when Robert the Bruce is buried. So yeah, he's more of a hero here in the western side near Edinburgh. Near Stirling, that's more like Wallace is the better hero.
Yeah, and that's where the Battle of Stirling took place. Oh, I'm just Braveheart is my favorite movie of all time, but it's kind of disappointing to know that it's a little deceiving in the sense of they make William Wallace out to be more of a hero than. Did you know that, Ches? First off, Ches, please tell me you've seen Braveheart.
Yes, I've seen Braveheart. I am a human being on this earth.
Right, fair enough. That's now. Did you know that little history though? Did you know that William Wallace is actually not as important as what they made him out to be?
I did not know that.
I need to say that I'm not Scottish, so I might be wrong in some sense here.
No, from the other person that I know for sure was Scottish that I talked to, he definitely said the same thing you are. But are you? I mean, what is this accent? I love it. I wish I could talk like you.
It's Polish, really.
Polish. It sounds like you're. It sounds like you're straight out of the movie Braveheart. I love it. I mean, this is like, or like Scottish slash Irish. I don't know.
A lot of people actually say that I've got Canadian accents for some reason because I spent about a year in Canada as well. So, but I think it's more Scottish now.
Ches, what do you think? You got to be leaning toward Scottish, Irish. Where do you stand in regards to
I can hear a little bit of Scottish, but I feel like the longer people are places, the more they kind of, absorb pretty much the accents or however the mannerisms that people talk from there. But yeah, I thought it was flat out. I thought it was Scottish.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, I realize listeners, this has nothing to do with trading, but cut me some slack. I love when we talk to international people because this is, just out of the norm. But now a little disclosure sake here. Maybe I'll mention this too in the intro when we record it. But I will be playing dumb a little bit because Tom sent an email that just was like, wow, pure inspiration. And I was like, you got to come on the podcast. So here he is. So I'm not playing total. So I do know a little bit. So this is not 100% genuine in some aspects. In many aspects, it will be. But, Ches and I, we may or may not know some of these things that we're going to be asking about. But let's just get into it. So, Tom, I mean, it sounds like you're well-traveled. You've been all over the world. What actually, got you into the market? Where did you first hear about it? And what sort of things happened that, led you to the point of saying, you know what, I want to get more hands-on with it?
Yeah, I guess it all started in high school in my home country. When I was a teenager, obviously, I was about 15, 16. I used to have a subject there like basics of economy, and one of those topics was how the stock market worked. I remember that our teacher brought to the class a business newspaper of some sort, and after explaining a few things regarding stocks, there was like an exercise which involved like a paper trade. It was very simple. Everyone was supposed to buy some stocks, some shares with a predefined budget, and wait a few weeks. So even then, it was kind of obvious to me to buy stocks when the price is obviously uptrending. And I remember looking at those linear charts at the time and see those trends. And I bought quite a few cheap shares and a couple of very expensive ones. And I've made some money on that paper trade. It was the first trade I ever done.
Sure. So a question for you, though. So how did you determine if a stock was in an uptrend at that time? Was there a little printouts of a chart? Was there a line chart next to all of these ones you were looking at?
Yeah, that was...
I thought the newspaper stuff was just kind of a list of prices and who went up and who went down.
Yeah, that was just a line chart. Basically, obviously, at the start of the chart, the price was always lower than at the time I bought those stocks. And it just kept rising, and that's it. That was it. That was obviously more of a luck than any knowledge that I have at the time.
Sure. The funny thing about it is that's the approach that you just have to take for trading. Is just you need to look at the newspaper and whatever's going up, and then you buy it. Except that has no risk management, and people get hosed doing that all the time. But anyways, okay, so that's pretty cool. Now, did your interest kind of bleed into I want to do some jobs in finance or anything like that, or was this just kind of like, this is my introduction. Now I kind of understand a little bit about the stock market and kind of continue with your schooling?
Yeah, I've been thinking about it for a while, quite a while, to be honest. But somewhere along the way, different thing happened and different things took over. And I did not think about stocks market until 20 years later, to be honest, which was at the end of 2017. So that was that introduction in high school, and that was it for a very long time.
What did you do during, 20 years, that's 2 decades. And did life just happen in regards to, okay. So it's not like, how did you travel? Is this like a jobs function? What took you to Canada? What took you to where you are now in Scotland? As long as it's not a job where you're going to have to kill Ches and I if you tell us what you do. But
Yeah, sure.
What did you do for work, or I guess what was kind of going on during that 20 years that totally removed you from the market?
Secret agent Tom.
Yeah, secret agent. Yeah, I wish. I should say, actually, what kind of things took over those trading thinking. Well, I decided to become a helicopter pilot. Well, long time ago. I guess I was watching Airwolf show or whatever. There's a helipad right in front of my childhood house because I stayed near hospital, so helicopters were landing all the time there. So I decided to become a helicopter pilot. Hey, um, obviously I was still a teenager, and I took my first job, like a part-time job, as building merchandise, and I quickly realized that there is no way that I will be able to save enough money for what I wanted to do. I also had some small jobs with my father as a painter decorator and a general laborer, but obviously that didn't help quite a lot. Um, so I needed to save a lot more money. So at some point, um, I needed to think outside the box and have finally opportunity has actually arisen, and I took a trip to United Kingdom, and to be honest, I didn't speak English at all. 16 years ago, I didn't speak English at all. However,
What language did you speak? What's
Polish,
your first language?
Polish only.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I will say you speak English better than I do. So well done in learning the English language. That's pretty good. Not pretty good. That's awesome stuff. And I did not know that you were a helicopter pilot. So I'm kind of glad I asked that question. So are you able to say the opportunity that arose that took you to the UK or no? Because I'm not trying to pry too much into your personal life here.
No. It's actually I was a child minder. So I used to train kids like at karate classes and stuff. So someone actually employed me here in UK to do a similar job, and it, it was okay, but still I had not enough, obviously, money to do what I really wanted to do, to become a helicopter pilot. After
That makes sense. So you're basically broad picture. Your why, right? And I know you've taken courses and you got to establish your why. So one of your big whys was you wanted to be you wanted to fly helicopters.
That's right.
Is that okay?
That was the broad goal. That was the kind of the end of it. So that was my dream, and I wanted to pursue it. So I took those steps that I needed to do, that I think I needed to do, and I just carried on working.
So you're just basically working with the end goal of wanting to be a helicopter flyer, a helicopter pilot. There we go. See, I told you were better at the English language than I am.
Helicopter driver. Jeez.
Yeah,
that was a good
one. That's probably not. I'm probably not going to live that down in the chat room now, but that's okay. At what point now like you said, I like how you said you were doing what you thought needed to be done in order to accomplish this, kind of big picture goal of a helicopter pilot. But what eventually occurred that did, I know you mentioned, back in 2017 is where, your focus got brought back to the market. So I guess kind of pick things back up there, unless there's something else you want to throw in, that's totally fine too. But what eventually brought your focus back onto the markets?
To be honest, I need to continue with the story for a while, because what happened was actually, I eventually became a helicopter pilot, and that was a school in Canada. At some point, I really had like 3 employments. I used to work continental shifts, like 4 days, 12-hour days, 12-hour shifts, 4 days a week, like 4 days on, 4 days off. At night, I used to sort parcels for the courier company, and on weekends, I worked as a waiter. So basically,
that's called the hustle right there.
Yeah, I really was focused on that goal, and there was no stopping me at the time. I didn't need to sleep at the time. I was like in early 20s. I had so much energy to spend. So that's what I wanted to do. And I kept going. So eventually, um, uh, my first big trade, to be honest, was kind of buying a property here in Scotland. So that helped me a lot. And I bought it like in 2005. And I used skills that my father taught me as a painter decorator. I've done this house up like within 3 years, and I sold it in 2008, just before the crash. And I've made
Wow, I was
good timing.
Yeah.
Good timing.
I heard 2005 and I'm thinking, but yeah, 2008. Well done. Well done.
I've made literally like over 100% profit on that house of the value I bought it with. So that was a huge chunk of money. And
Great trade.
it was a great trade. Yes, it still wasn't enough though. So I took a loan. And I picked a school, and I went to Canada. And in 2009, in April, I have passed my skill test and became a fully qualified commercial pilot. Yeah, but the journey really didn't end there. As you know, the crash happened, and there was I was really hoping to stay in Canada, um, but the crash happened, and there was absolutely no vacancies for pilots, especially for the new pilots. So I had no choice, and went back to UK. And after a few months, I actually found a job in a helicopter company here in Scotland. But the Canadian helicopter license actually did not allow me to fly commercially here in UK. So I needed more money to convert my license to European standards, and I took another loan. And I've passed another skill test and became qualified in Europe, and then started flying almost immediately after that, and been flying for a few years.
So what kind of helicopter work were you trying to do in both Canada and the UK?
It was small helicopters, like, I don't know if you know Jet Ranger helicopters. They're very, very famous helicopters. It was mostly like pleasure flights, photography, simple charters. I've flown with few celebrities as well.
Cool.
Yeah, basically this kind of work. Nothing like offshore, nothing like yeah.
So that's what I was kind of wondering, because first off, if you didn't hear it on previous podcasts, like, that's something I'm going to do. I'm going to learn how to fly a helicopter, and I actually know 3 people in town that I live. But one of them does like commercial work where he's like doing high tension line work and flying around that stuff. And I was like, I would like to have a little bit more of a gap between power lines in my helicopter, but whatever floats your boat. But yeah, so that's pretty cool. So pleasure flights and stuff like that, man. Canada is beautiful. I could understand why you'd want to stay and do that, but Scotland's pretty awesome too. So I'm glad you finally found work. And where's your story take you from there?
Yeah, basically, yeah. So I've flown. I was flying till about 2014. And then I was kind of sound financially. I was still flying like 5 days a week and doing ground work as well, like connected to helicopters, like passenger briefings or fueling helicopters, different kind of stuff in that industry. However, it all ended in 2014. There was my best friend who actually was involved in an accident on the motorbike, and I kind of decided to take a break, and I stopped flying and never flown since, actually. So psychologically, the death of my friend was actually very, very painful and hurtful, and that's how my career stopped as a pilot. So unfortunately, I couldn't.
So your friend, you stopped to take care of him, or you stopped because it I guess why exactly did the bike accident? Why did that stop you from flying?
He was my co-pilot. He was the helper.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
basically, the way I was flying, I really didn't need a co-pilot. However, he was helping me with all the flights. He was preparing my fuels. He was preparing my helicopter. Doing daily walkarounds. So helicopter. He was calculating my stuff, how much fuel I needed. I really basically I just needed to confirm stuff, and that was me off and flying. And one day, yeah, he went for a bike and he never came back. And kind of, I, I didn't feel responsible, but it kind of
Oh yeah, no, he's, like you said,
psychologically,
he's your co-pilot.
yeah.
Yeah. No, that makes a whole lot more sense knowing he was essentially your right-hand man, and he was, yeah, no, that makes a lot more sense. Well, man, life sure does happen sometimes.
So yeah, so there was that emotion which actually stopped everything for me. So, um,
so how do you bounce back from something like that? What did you do? Because I can't say I can relate to that because I've never been through anything like that. But
so
I mean,
basically,
where did your journey take you from that point? Because that's a pretty low spot.
I had some advices from colleagues who actually used to work in the oil and gas industry. So I've done some courses like rope access courses or weld inspection, like with ultrasound, magnetic particle, or eddy currents. So I've done some jobs here and there, but as a self-employed and really new to the industry, there was not too many of them for me. And then that crash with oil happened in 2015, and I could not find any employment whatsoever. Some of my colleagues had like 10, 15-year experience in oil and gas and had no jobs. And I really started to how would say, Tom stock went really down. So
That's a good way to put it.
yeah, so I started to drive with parcels for minimum wage, started painting houses, doing delivery, like pizza delivery jobs. I was going nowhere at the time. I was living day by day for a couple of years with constant zero on my account. My loans became a.
I gotta interrupt you here because you're totally wrong. You were going nowhere. I know what you mean, but let me tell you how I view it. You could have thrown up your hands and just given up. And I know you said you stayed at constant zero, but in this day and age, that constant zero doesn't stay at a zero. It goes negative because people throw up their hands and, well, let's get out the credit card. Let's do this. Let's do that. And all of a sudden, their net worth goes negative because now they have more liabilities than what they have assets. So I would say that given, and I like how you put that too, to echo Ches, your stock went down. Hey man, well done. It sounds like you just did what you had to do to at least stay at zero. And a lot of people, they don't even stay at zero. They just, whatever, give up and everything drifts down below zero and things get out of control. So I'd say give yourself a little bit more credit. I unless I'm misunderstanding something, but hey, staying at zero is a whole lot better than going blow up. But I do get what you're saying because you're obviously an ambitious person. So staying at zero is not good enough for you, but it's not like you're a total loser. You were doing what you needed to be done. Sorry to interrupt, but yeah, that's pretty motivating.
Yeah. So financially, I wasn't really too bad. Like as you said, zero. It's not a minus. It's still, kind of floating somewhere. But yeah, I psychologically I felt like beat up. So emotions kind of got into me. So like you said, zero maybe it's not bad, but still I was going nowhere. And it felt like I was going nowhere. I felt completely beat up by everything around me. So I touched myself like that victim card to my forehead, so that's so.
But you didn't fall for the victim card. All I hear is the only reason why the zero bothered you is because, well, you're an ambitious person. You want more out of yourself. There are people out there where they look at the zero and they're like, hey, at least I'm floating.
Yeah, true.
And they're happy with floating. They're happy with just getting by. At least for you, it bothered you. I know for Ches, it would bother him. For me, it would bother me. I mean, and that's the mentality. I'm assuming it would bother everybody if they're still listening. If it didn't bother them, they probably think we're like a bunch of precocious. I don't know if that's the right word, but people that are like, whatever, no. I mean, so I'm pretty sure at this point in the podcast, everybody that's still listening is of the same mindset that, yeah, if you were to see 0, yeah, that's going to bother you. That's going to make you feel like a loser. That's going to make you feel, like you said, your emotions go down. But to your credit, I'm glad to hear that it did bother you, because we could use a little bit more of that in society where people need a little bit more ambition and, to strive for things. So I'm getting off my soapbox, Tom. I'm getting off my soapbox, Ches. But I mean, sorry, I'll pause my mic. Tom, please continue. But this is good stuff, man.
Yeah, so 0 did bother me. Yeah, you're right. You're totally right. There was a 0 on my everyday account, but I had so many thousands actually negative on my loan accounts. So yeah, every month,
and that'll weigh on you for sure.
So those loans were for my helicopter license, which I did, and I wasn't using it anymore. So that bothered me a lot. But at some point, like I said, at the end of 2017, I really don't know what happened. But one day I've had enough. I really didn't like what I, what I looked like, what I presented with my, as a person.
The direction your life was going.
As a person, I really didn't like what I've become because of what happened. And I knew I needed to change something, and basically, I think I googled something like how to make some extra cash, and one of the search results was like a stock market. So there it was. I immediately remembered that high school day, the paper trade I've done, how good it felt, even though it was a paper trade. And I kept digging, and at some point on YouTube there was Clay Trader, and I've been attracted to that channel immediately. And because what actually stand out to me was you weren't selling that dream as everyone else that I looked into. So that was something to me that, yeah, this is it. I'm gonna do something about it, and this is the CTU I'm gonna be using it for. So
this is at the middle of 2017. Is that what you said?
At the end of 2017? Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. And did you just kind of blast through the courses at that point?
Basically, I joined the inner circle first, and I read some reviews online about Clay Trader University. I even emailed Clay, so that I really want to do that. But the thing was, I had no money, so that was really good of Clay that he kind of tailor up like a personal payment plan for me. So that was really, really good, and I need to say a big thank you again for that. Otherwise, I couldn't do it. Yeah, and basically, I started studying. I started studying really hard, and after a while, I started doing some.
I got to interrupt.
Yep.
Define studying really hard, because I get it, you really hard, but a lot of people, as Ches and I have learned, have very different definitions for phrases. So what do you mean by very hard?
For example, when I was driving with parcels, my courses were constantly playing in my car. So constantly playing. I couldn't see obviously the video, but your voice was always there. So in my car, when I had like 12-hour day with parcels, 12 hours, that was Clay Trader University. So basically that's what it was. So yeah, basically.
When did you watch the videos though? Because a lot of this stuff is visual.
Oh, yeah.
So did you find the time to? Okay, when did you squeeze that into your 12-hour days? Because I mean, you're just, as Ches said earlier, you're just flat out hustling right now. So how did you squeeze in? And I'm pressing here because, again, where there's a will, there's a way. And here we have Tom working 12-hour days, and when people have a passion, when people want to do something, you can get it done. So that's why I wanted these little details on, how exactly you got it done, already out there hustling as much as you were.
Yeah, so videos came actually when I had some breaks, obviously. I couldn't drive all the time. So during eating in breaks in the van, I was sitting in my van, and instead of organizing my parcels, I was kind of watching those videos, listening to all the definitions, and uh, trying to remember every single word. Um, um, yeah, basically that was it. And when I was going back home, obviously, first thing I was doing is to put the courses. Um,
The first thing you were doing wasn't watching Netflix?
no,
Game of Thrones, HBO.
Yeah, the first thing you were doing wasn't sitting on Facebook or social media. That wasn't the first thing you were doing.
No, I've canceled that. Like, I don't know. Right after joining the inner circle, after you guys told me to do that, not directly, but on the other YouTube channel. So you guys said stop watching that, and I said, okay, I will. You're my mentor, so that's what I did. I've canceled Netflix.
It's amazing how much time all of a sudden you have in your day,
absolutely.
Isn't it? When you stop with that crap. I mean, it's like, holy crap, 24 hours is actually a lot of time.
Yeah, so canceled Netflix, canceled Prime, Amazon Prime, canceled actually all the subscription I had on the TV. So my TV was still on the wall, but there was no antenna attached to it. So only the computer and CPU, honestly. That's what it was.
Okay. I'm sorry, but this is why Ches and I are so crusty and bitter towards people that I want to become a trader, but I can't afford anything. And then you press a little bit more. Oh, you have Netflix. Oh, you have Amazon Prime. Oh, you have this, that, and the other thing. Here is somebody, this is what actually wanting it looks like. I get it. We sit here and say, well, you got to want it to be a trader. But what does want it mean? Listen to this. Does that sound like kind of a miserable lifestyle? No Netflix, no Amazon Prime. You canceled all those other services. Yeah, that doesn't sound too exciting. But you know what? People out there do it, and we're talking to one right now. So yeah, Ches and I, we may come across as a little rough around the edges if you contact us through the customer service box, or maybe just listening to us on here. But yet again, Ches, we have ourselves another data point of somebody that is willing to do what it takes to make themselves a trader. So, I mean, Ches, I think we're both justified once more in our crustiness. Are you agreeing? Are you hearing the same things I am from Tom? I mean, he just basically went scorched earth policy in terms of all his expenses.
I guess I have to remember that I need to remind people why I'm crusty. So yes, it is just scorched earth beast mode tactics instead of there's some guy right now in the customer service thing who says he doesn't know how to trade and all he's doing is sending me dollar emojis because he says I want to make dollar emojis. And I'm just like, yes, there's a reason why we're crusty, but it's because we run into people like Tomasz here, and he's doing what he has to do. It actually is passion, and just like you said earlier, it stood out to me so well. I had so much energy when I was younger. He's still got the energy now because he knows what he wants to do. But it's just mind blowing. Yeah,
so I mean, that's motivating, and I don't know. I don't think you told me. Maybe you did, but if you did, I don't remember. So none of this is staged. I honestly did not know that you canceled all those other things. So that were you doing it from a time management perspective and a money perspective, or I mean, what was the driving force? Right? I know you said that you heard us saying stuff like that, but I mean, what was your main driving force?
That was both, because time is money.
Both, okay.
So yeah, basically, I was so not interested in Game of Thrones. Oh my god, everyone at work was saying something about it, and I had to walk away. I was so not interested in those kind of things. I needed to change, like I said, myself psychologically. So CTU kind of it's not only to me robotic trading. It's also getting rid of the bad emotions that comes across all your life, because I needed to change my mindset, and I did. And you helped me with that, and I'm very grateful for this, because that was pretty bad. Yeah, I was pretty in bad shape. So thank you.
I don't know. I think you're just proving the point that you're a very ambitious individual, because nothing you have said has made me question your character. Yeah, maybe you're disappointed in yourself. That's just because you set really high expectations for yourself. But yeah, man, that's awesome to hear that it helped change your mindset towards life in general. And you got to give yourself the credit. I mean, we can lead you to, we can lead the horse to water, but you can't make a horse drink. So
you can drive. You could drive the horse to water. That's just
there we go. Yeah,
like
exactly. You can drive a horse to water, and yeah, you can't force that thing to drink. I mean, so you're just. It sounds like at work, it's all about studying. It's all about focusing on trading. It's all about just learning the craft. And then you get home, and there's nothing else you can do because you've canceled all those other services. So not only are you saving money now, you're also just freeing up all this time to once again stay focused fully on trading. Is that essentially where we are at in your current journey?
That's right. Yeah, I started doing some paper trading on TradingView, and it went quite well. And I've been paper trading for 7 months. My first paper trade was, I think, May 2018, and I actually posted that in the chat room, and Ches gave me a thumbs up. So thank you. That was
of course.
And I always been looking for other jobs because 12-hour shifts in the van that wasn't really great. That's for like minimum wage as well. Eventually, I found a good job, the one that I described in my email to you, which was like 3-day weekends, 12-hour shifts, and that's in a nearby shipyard on an aircraft carrier. So that's the first job that I have right now. The other job is a pizza delivery guy. I just keep doing that because I don't know. I still like driving though, so I keep doing that. It's 20-30 hours a week, and sometimes more, especially during the Christmas period. So for some reason, everyone wants pizza for Christmas. I don't know why, but yeah, that's it. So a lot hours in December, a lot hours. Actually, I don't know. It was almost like 80 hours, 60 to 80 hours a week during December, I would say, just to drive with pizzas. And
let me ask you a question. How do you, in your mind, how do you just go out there and deliver pizzas? And I ask this because that takes a very humble person. It takes, you're delivering pizzas. Isn't that like a high school kid job? And I'm not demeaning it at all. I so respect you for it. But for a listener out there, maybe they're thinking, I could earn some extra money for my trading account, or I could earn some extra money for fill in the blank. But I don't know, pizza delivery. How do you overcome that mental hurdle? How do you overcome the pride aspect and just get out there and do it? Is there like some sort of mind trick you're using on yourself? Because that does take a pretty big amount of humility to just get out there and say, you know what, screw what other people think. Who cares if people chuckle at me that I'm, not an old guy, but I'm not a high schooler either that's out there delivering pizza. So, can you share with, I'm curious, but just listeners, if somebody was in your spot and struggling with the mental aspect of becoming a pizza delivery guy, what would you tell them?
I would tell them, I consider it as a tool to get the job done towards your main goal. It's something like I've done towards my helicopter pilot license. I've done many jobs, including waiting and waiting tables and sorting parcels even at night, as I mentioned before. And those tools allowed me to become a helicopter pilot. So that was my goal was to become a helicopter pilot, or later to be a trader, and I knew what I had to do to complete my goal. And
setting intentions, like you can ask, and we talk about this generally from like the strategy standpoint, like what are you looking for in a trade, or what is your strategy for this, or I need specifics. And when people just kind of come back with these general answers, like I want to make money in the stock market, I'm like, you're going to need to have more of an intention than that. That's a very broad one. You need to talk about, the nitty gritty, because that's how you get things ultimately done. You decided I'm going to be a helicopter pilot. And I know there's many, many ways to get to this point, but I'm going to do whatever it takes. So yeah, setting intentions is crucially important. So considering, you live in Europe, what have you been primarily paper trading? What was your focus? Was it the U.S. market, currency market? I forgot what your screenshot was. I just know that you were doing pretty well.
The thing is, that was U.S. stocks only, basically. That's what I've been doing. So I've paper traded that for about 6 months, 7 months, sorry. And at the end of last year, which was, I think, end of November, I actually started trading live with interactive brokers. And I basically started trading live, and it's going quite well right now.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so putting the real money on the line now is where those evil voices are going to kind of rear their ugly head. So here's the thing, though. Here's what I want listeners to really understand. He traded the same way ideally he's supposed to trade in real life on paper for 7 months. So eventually, whatever little voices were rearing his head when he would have to take a loss or things were going against him to start, he's kind of gotten a wrangle on that. He's like, oh, so this is how I feel when this happens, and this is how I feel when this happens. You're very, very obviously in tune with psychology. That's very, very clear. So going to live money, though, did you have some very, very dentist chair type moments where you're gripping the chair handle really hard or anything like that? Or were you just kind of like, I've done this, I've practiced, I know what I'm looking for, I know how to execute? Did it kind of go smooth for you going to real money? Because a lot of people struggle
I have
with
to
that.
say it actually went quite smooth to me. I don't know. I didn't have like a big moment that I was panicking or anything during the last month. I had some losses, obviously, but they were like totally controlled losses. There was absolutely nothing out of control for me. And I learned that doing the paper trading, definitely, because when doing paper trading, I had some big losses and I analyzed them and why it happened, what did I do wrong and stuff. And this knowledge I kind of took forward to the live trading, and nothing bad happened to me. So basically, I used all I knew from the courses that I've done with yourselves. So basically, robotic trading, RVR, was the main two, and that allowed me to actually control everything. I didn't know what I could do before the courses. I just knew I could buy something, then sell something, and I didn't know about stop losses. I didn't know about taking the profits earlier. Basically, whatever you outlined in your courses, I applied to my strategies and never went wrong once for the short period of time that I've been trading live.
What stands out to me was a little thing, one word that you said that pretty much summarizes this kind of overarching topic of mindset and all that. And you made the comment, I've taken losses, obviously. And I think that goes to really illustrate why, in your mind, nothing has gone wrong or nothing, because you said you've taken losses, obviously, but the very fact that in your mind, and I can tell because you said it so nonchalantly, it was just part of a much bigger sentence, but the very fact that you realize that losing is part of trading, obviously, that is a huge hurdle that many people don't struggle with, and I don't, or that many people struggle with or aren't aware of, and I don't blame those people. All you got to do is hop on YouTube or social media, and you'll see plenty of stuff where people are always trying to portray it like, "Hey, I never lose. Hey, it's always rainbows and butterflies. We only talk about winning trades around here." Those sorts of mentalities, which in all reality is not how trading actually plays out. Losses is part of it. The key is being a good loser, knowing when to lose, how to identify even if you should be taking that risk. Those are the things that make you a trader. I mean, so well done. I love how, I mean, I took here we go. I'm going to try my Scottish accent. I took losses, obviously. And how did I do, Tom? Was that anywhere close Polish, to you? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what that was, but
he hasn't left the podcast yet, so you didn't offend him that much.
That's true. But Chet, I mean, isn't that kind of a very telling sign when he sits there and threw out that word obvious when he was talking about losses? I mean, I don't know if you've necessarily ever had that, but I mean, I think that's a very revealing insight into a psyche. My question, though, is, kind of to piggyback off of Ches, you clearly paper traded for a long time. And as you've already told us, it was a very smooth transition because you did everything that you were taught in order to let's keep things as real as possible. But how did you actually know at one point? So in other words, why was it 6 months that you paper traded and not 5.5? Or why wasn't it 7 months? Did you meet some sort of goal? Did you meet some sort of kind of mental hurdle? But how did you know when to actually go from paper to real money?
I actually reached a goal, as you said. I had those loans, which been with me for almost a decade, to be honest, because of the helicopter pilots thing. And like I said, I was working a lot, and after I realized I wasn't happy with my zero on my account, I even worked even harder. I basically paid off all my debts, and I saved some money to have funds to trade. So that was the goal. And when I did that, I started trading live. I did not allow myself to start trading live any earlier than that because I knew that would be more trouble to me. I could maybe did something emotionally because something like revenge trading or something like that. I didn't want to happen. I didn't want that to happen. So there was a goal. I paid all my debts. I saved some money for trading live, and then I started trading live. That was it.
Now, did you take the slab course or no? I can't. Did you do My Money with Clay
no, not really.
course? Okay. No, that's fine. So this was just you setting into stone. Hey, I want to get these debts out of the way. I want to save up. I'm assuming, did you have an actual amount you wanted to get to for trading?
Yes, because I kind of my
Okay,
goal trading was to make say $100 a day, right? So obviously I needed, say, in my mind, to be safe, I needed $10,000 to raise my account by 1%, which is 100.
Okay, perfect. So you knew that you wanted the debt paid off, and you knew you wanted $10,000, being debt free from those loans. And then did you do calculations like, okay, I'm going to have to work this many hours, or was this just you just working as much as possible? I guess what I'm trying to get at is this is you're a perfect example of how when you actually put hard numbers to things, then you can start to form a plan. So I mean, this plan you had, how did you actually get to it? Did you know that it was going to be right around 6 months, or was this just I'm going to work as much as possible to get this done as soon as possible?
I didn't know how long it would take. Basically, I just worked as much as I could. Like I said, sometimes it's driving with pizza. I only had 20 hours a week because it was absolutely quiet. The other week I had like 80 hours. So obviously I needed to use the opportunity that they gave me to make as much money as I could in a short possible period of time.
I love it. And that makes sense when you have the flexible hours like that. But I mean, Ches made the great point is when you put an intention behind something, it's a whole lot easier to actually make it happen. And you had the intentions of, I want to be debt free and have $10,000. And with that, you just, like you said, you took as many hours as you could. So that's awesome. Do you remember anything about your first real money trade? I mean, how did that, or let me ask it this way. What is your, ideal scenario? Are you, are you more so day trading? Are you swing trading? What sort of setups and such are you looking at?
It's more swing trading because I still work a lot. And obviously, let me put it this way. I had two losses. But the largest loss that I had is because I couldn't adjust my stop loss higher than I normally would. Um, I was on the boat in the shipyard, and I was right at the bottom of the boat, and there was no reception in my phone, so I couldn't adjust my my stop loss. And unfortunately, after being on the green almost all day, and at the end of the day, the trade hit my stop loss, and that's how I got two major losses. So yeah, basically how can I put that actually?
No, I understand what you're saying. I mean, that was just major losses. In how many days did that kind of cost you from those?
Say that again. Sorry, how many days off?
Yeah, like how much of your profit did that wipe out? Was it like a week's worth of your trades or a month worth of your trades? You know, how when you say major losses, of
3
trying to
days.
just quantify it a little bit.
Because that was about yeah. So basically,
Gotcha.
that was 2 losses of $150, and basically, I made it up for the next 3 days.
So don't you love that, Clay? His major losses was 3 days and not like
Yeah.
3 months or 3/4 of the year, or something like that, right?
I do want to take, the reason Ches was kind of, because I threw him a question through our, we use Slack behind the scenes to communicate. And I was like, ask him about major loss, because Ches nailed it. I was thinking, I think Tom might be, I mean, in his mind, yeah, it was a major loss because all this stuff went wrong, but I don't think it's as bad as what some other people might consider a major loss, which is what we've heard on the podcast. Months of profits gone, my entire account gone. But yeah, Ches. Oh, it was 3 days. And you said you made it up pretty quickly?
In 3 days, you said, yep.
Oh, you made it up in 3
Oh,
days.
yeah, both
Okay.
losses. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was
lost it.
NRG swing trade, I think. Actually, maybe it was 4 days, to be honest now, if I remember right. NRG just broke up, and I made like close to $500, and that was me being $200 in the profit.
That is a perfect. I mean, just because it's fresh in my mind, but Rena, her welcome back episode 199. One of the points she made was just take the loss and take a breath, because if you take it when, yeah, you don't want to take a loss, but it's sure a whole lot easier to dig out of a hole when you take the loss when you're supposed to, rather than letting the loss spin out of control. And, Tom, what he just described is really a perfect reflection of what Rena has been working on and getting a whole lot better at. He took a loss, but it took him 3 to 4 days to get out of it. That's a whole lot better than 3 to 4 weeks or 3 to 4 months to get off some sort of loss, because you just totally, abandon ship in regards to the rules. But if you have not listened to episode 199, then I mean, definitely check that one out with Rena, because it's a good one. All the other ones are good too, but that's what immediately stood out to me was how that definitely complements each other. As far as your routine, when are you finding these trades? How are you executing them? It sounds like you're doing stuff at work with your phone. So I'm very glad to hear that you were swing trading and not sitting here saying that you're doing some sort of high time frame, scalping from your cell phone. But I mean, where are you actually finding time from a routines perspective to kind of implement your strategy? Because as you said, you do already work a lot.
Yeah, my routine is basically I come back from work. When I come back home, I look for stocks, basically on FinViz. That's the scanner I'm working with. That's the only scanner, to be honest, because they've got everything I need. I'm looking for basically patterns, and I really like trading the panic buys. Basically, those two are those two things that I'm looking for in trades. Patterns meaning symmetrical triangles, and I really like falling wedges. And I never really had problems with finding those as well. And I make my orders at night, go to sleep, and basically the next morning I'm going to work, and once 2:30 happens actually, because obviously that's London time, I start checking my my account in my mobile phone. So basically that's how it looks like every day, pretty much.
Now, so obviously you have a plan and you're totally comfortable with how you kind of set up your orders and then kind of let them do their thing. It sounds like you're quite a bit hands off, which isn't a bad thing by any means at all. Micromanaging is why a lot of people get screwed up. Now, but you're so comfortable with kind of taking losses. How did you develop that? Is that just strictly your confidence in the strategy, confidence in your practice, confidence that I'm not going to win all of these, but the ones I do win are going to pay for the losers? How did you get to that point where you're just comfortable, literally? I don't want to say set and forget, but it's kind of set and forget. How did you get to that point?
Basically, I know what I can lose. I kind of tested myself in my mind that am I comfortable to losing, I say, $150 in one trade, or say 2 days in a row, or 3 days in a row. I said, yeah, that was fine. I think I can do that. If I was thinking about, say, $500 losing a day, so I told myself I wasn't fine with it. So whenever I'm doing stop losses, obviously according to RVR, I'm actually trying to set it with the biggest loss that I'm comfortable with, which is around $150, and that's it. That was it. My mindset was actually working this way since I started really paper trading. So losing $150 was okay. Losing, I don't know, $500 wasn't, even in the paper trading.
Now, you tested yourself. I like that. And I realize you tested yourself by, well, how do I feel at 150? Okay, I feel okay. How do I feel at 500? Okay, I don't feel okay. How were you quantifying feel? Did you have like a budget laid out and you were looking at, budgetary items? But what was dictating this feel, this emotion of, okay, I am comfortable with 150 as opposed to 500? I mean, does that question make sense?
Yeah, it does. Basically, it comes down to the overall budget that I have, and say with my future goals as well. Say because I'm still working, so I know how hard it is to make $150 in the shipyard, for example, right? So 1 day of work, it's okay to lose because it's about my daily wage. So I was thinking, okay, I can lose 1 day of work. I can do 2 days of work. It's almost kind of like it would be off sick or something like that. And yeah, kind of, I tested myself this way. Yeah, basically that's it. Yeah.
No, that's a great answer. It's brilliant, and it's a great way to quantify. What do you feel comfortable with? Well, and what stood out to me, and this is, I realize Ches and I, we've talked about this many times before, but and you said you have a budget in place and you have other goals out there, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is exactly why Tomasz is able to quantify his quote unquote feel. How does he feel that one way is good enough and another way is not good enough? Is because he's actually managing his personal finances. And if you think that you can stroll into this trading business and have your personal finances not in order, so no budget, no goals, no idea, how much do I spend each month? If your personal finances are not in tip-top shape, you have no chance at trading, because how are you ever going to determine what you feel is okay for a loss? It's impossible because you have no way to quantify it. But with the budget, you can, as Tomasz beautifully explained, start to quantify, okay, well, I make this so much, I have this many expenses, and I have those sorts of goals. So if I were to take that sort of loss, no, I don't feel good about that number. What about that number? Oh, okay, because I see the framework of everything, because I actually have my personal finances in order, I can visualize and realize, okay, I do actually feel comfortable. And when you do truly feel comfortable, then yeah, you can kind of be like Tomasz. You're like, yeah, I took some losses. It doesn't really bother me that much because I know I can afford it. So, but how do you know that you can afford it? Circle back to personal finances. So that is why Ches and I harp on it all the time. And that's why I just ranted about it again, because trading is a business. and you need to be organized in your business. So why people think that they can just stroll into starting a business known as trading, one of the most difficult out there, without their own, house in order is beyond me. Well, it's not beyond me. It's just pure greed that's leading you. So as a listener, hey, I'm not saying you shouldn't try trading, but that's kind of a good little mile marker test as far as should you even be trading. As how are you doing with your personal finances? Do you know how much you spend every month? Do you know how much you make? Do you have any other sort of financial goals? If not, go back and get that stuff taken care of before anything else. But yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense. Now, Thomas, looking at the time, we'll go a little bit while longer because this is great stuff. But and probably should have asked this during your routine, but when you look at your chart, I mean, if I were to be sitting next to you, or you invited Ches and I over to Scotland, what would we see? I suppose on your phone or on your charts that you're using to help make your decisions.
Yeah, obviously candlesticks and volume, obviously, and trend lines. I like actually drawing my own trend lines. I like to see my own patterns, the ones I know, obviously. SMAs, 250 and 10. I've got relative strength index and MACD all the time on my screen.
Awesome. Now, in terms of what do you think are your specific strengths when it comes to trading?
I think I can see the patterns quite well. I don't know. It's probably relation to helicopter charts or whatever. I've got no idea how, but if I see the patterns, for example, my first paper trade that I actually posted on the chat room was actually a breakout from the from the triangle. So yeah, I kind of I know I don't know, but uh, I know there will be something happening in the near future if I see the pattern candles that I like. Um, um, I'm not right all the time, of course, but
Yeah, welcome to the club.
yeah. And however, it's I don't want to pride myself, but I'm right like about 80% of the time. So I like those patterns, but I also like the panic buys. So I'm not panic buys. I really do like, but I'm not right as often as in the patterns. So I'm kind of trying to focus on finding the triangles or wedges or um, obviously the patterns that I really like.
Okay. And quick clarification, when he says panic buy, that is not a strategy where he just panics and then randomly buys something. That is when other people are panicking, you take advantage of their panic and buy at a good spot. So that's what he meant by panic buy, just something that is taught. But when he said that, I thought, that might use a little clarification. That kind of made him sound like he just does.
Listeners, don't let Clay fool you. It's whenever you're feeling panic, you mash the buy button. That's how we do it here.
Yeah. Ches is always blowing my cover. That is what it is. If you panic, buy. That's the solution. That's what that strategy is. And I mean, I have to just give you another, to kind of pride yourself, as you said. You're very good at taking losses, as we've already spent a lot of time with. So, it sounds like your chart vision is awesome, and you also are very good at taking losses. And yeah, that's great. Keep it up. What about some things that you still kind of recognize, or maybe that you need to work on? I don't know if weaknesses is the right word, or maybe it is a weakness, but what are some things that you either want to work on, or maybe some goals that you have, going further into the future?
Yeah, I definitely would like to be better at entry points. That's for sure. If I see some pattern, doesn't mean I'm gonna enter the trade. Thing is, sometimes I miss the trade and the breakout happens. So I would like to be better with entry points. That's for sure. That's a weakness that I've got trouble to overcome. Uh, what else? I definitely I like to keep fresh the stuff that it's in the course. So the fact that done some robotic training or RVR or Grow Rich, which I really liked, because I've done it once doesn't mean that I'm going to remember that in 2, 6, I don't know, 12 months time. I like to keep it fresh. So whenever I go driving somewhere, for example, I had to have a trip to Poland for a funeral very recently. So robotic trading was actually playing in the background again after, I don't know, 3 months that I opened that course. Yeah, probably about 3 months. So I like to keep things fresh. I kind of don't like to allow myself to forget what I used to know. Um, and yeah, so basically, the weaknesses are definitely um, the entry points. I sometimes I'm a little bit frustrated with myself that I missed a trade that would be going very very well, and the strength is really to keep my knowledge up to date all the time, I think.
Right, and that's a good way to approach it. And I assure you that I missed a few entry points today that I was very mad about, but that's just called trading, and you just gotta kind of keep a clear head and move forward. But so obviously, it's been an absolute pleasure talking with you. You define what beast mode is in terms of kind of setting your intentions and goals and kind of getting them done. So you keep staying on the path. It's been a pleasure talking to you, but I do know the real reason you came on today was to borrow my time machine and go back and give yourself one piece of advice. Now, the shipping is going to be a little bit much, but yeah, as long as you can, you're going to have to get back in the helicopter and pick it up from port because it's too much to cost trucking it. So if you can do that with the helicopter, you can borrow the time machine.
Well, as long as it doesn't cost more than $150, I'm fine with it.
All right.
There we go. I love it.
So yeah, basically, definitely would like to go back to that high school day and just start trading even smaller amounts, and I'll obviously educate first, and then um, basically start trading right away. I wish I never forgot about that day in high school, like over 20 years ago, I think. 20 years ago, yeah, that's a long time. So if you can take me 20 years back, that's what I would do.
Awesome. That's good advice. And to echo the beast, you are definitely a beast meant in every form of the compliment. And yeah, this was some good stuff. I'd like to keep going, but we're at an hour already, so time flies. But let's move into do you still have time for some fun questions?
Yeah,
or you
sure.
Okay, excellent. And I won't ask all these questions in my Scottish accent as much as as much as I really want to. I will keep it in my broken English accent. What is your favorite movie?
Uh, um, I've got really 3 favorite movies. I don't know if that's allowed.
What are they, little laddie? Okay, I broke my promise. I couldn't. The way you said 3 was straight. It was straight out of Braveheart. The way you said 3, it was. Oh, what are they?
Right, definitely The Fugitive with Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford, classic.
Awesome.
The second one would be probably Seven.
Another good one.
Morgan Freeman, Brad Pitt. Yep, good one.
And the third would be probably Last of the Mohicans.
That's another classic. I can't remember who's in that one, but
Daniel
the
Day-Lewis.
soundtrack for that movie.
Daniel Day-Lewis.
There we go. Yeah. Yep. And the soundtrack for that one is pretty. That's one that you probably wouldn't want to listen to before you start trading because it would get you amped up, and then you're out there panic buying everything, and it's we're just smashing that buy button like Ches said. But no, that's a good list. Ches, you're up.
So in terms of foods and desserts, what are your favorites for those?
I really like vegetarian food. Sorry. Yeah, so any kind of salad. I don't know why I'm just this way. So vegetarian food. I don't like meat for some reason. I don't know why. Desserts. Okay, I'll go with cheesecake.
What kind of cheesecake? I just had Cheesecake Factory. I was in Kansas City last week.
Oh wow!
Stopped at the Cheesecake Factory. They had Cinnabon cheesecake. So it was like a special where they combine a cinnamon roll and cheesecake. It was fantastic. But so what kind of cheesecake are you a fan of? Are you just good old fashioned plain?
Plain, but I do like with vanilla glazing, which is right in my local shop. So I spend a lot of money in there to get a cheesecake with vanilla glaze. So, okay.
Well, it sounds like you have probably a budget item or a line item in your budget for cheesecake. So
yes.
I'm sure everything is, as long as it doesn't cost more than $150, you're good to go, right?
That's right, yeah. And
there we go.
And I have to say that happened before. I spent more than $150 on cheesecake.
No, not one slice of cheesecake.
Not one, but it was multiple. Hey, but it was all for me. I have to admit that happened before.
I mean, that sounds like it's got diabetes written all over it. You better be careful on that.
Sounds great.
It sounds great, exactly.
It does sound great. Yeah, it does sound pretty good, but awesome. All right, final question, 3 words, and these 3 words need to describe what you believe would be associated with, a successful trader, or what it takes to be a successful trader.
Probably those words were mentioned before, but definitely discipline, mindset, and the third. Oh my God. I say consistency. Yeah, definitely.
And probably consistency in your discipline would play a big role in it too.
Oh, basically. Yeah, it's a kind of,
Yeah. I mean, I know what you mean about consistency. You got to be, but I think a lot of times, and I'm probably speaking to myself more than anybody else, it's just, hey, be consistent in your discipline. And it's amazing how that takes care of everything else if you're consistent in your discipline. But yeah, 3 good words for sure. And a great discussion. And thank you for being willing to do this. Thank you for that email. And I'm glad we could get this on the books now. But this was Ches. What'd you think? Tomasz, guy's a beast.
Tomasz, aka Beast Mode. Yes, sir. Absolutely. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, Beast Mode for sure. And we know that you now have a mic. So you, we'll have to have you back. And I'm not even going to say that we're going to ask to have you back. Ches and I will probably just demand, hey, come back, talk to us some more, because you got some good stuff going on. But Tom, thank you very much for taking time out of your day and hanging out.
Thank you very much, guys, for having me.
Yeah, it's been a great time. Before we all go, though, final few things, especially geared towards U.S. listeners. If you are listening on the YouTube channel, be sure to check out the rest of the channel. There's a lot of other videos. There's live trade videos. There's vlog videos. There's a variety of videos. So it's not just these podcasts. So check out the remainder of the channel, and hopefully you decide to subscribe. If you're listening to this on iTunes or any of the other podcast players, please leave us a rating and subscribe. But particularly on iTunes, if you could leave us a rating, that goes a long way and really helps us out. And we do appreciate it. And finally, if you're listening at claytrader.com on the show notes page, click that share button. There is an area to leave comments. And if you do leave a comment, we will gladly reply to you. And we truly try our best to be as interactive as people or with people if they're willing to reach out to us. So thank you again to you as listeners. Thank you to Tom. Thank you to our esteemed co-host, Ches. We will see you back next week.
This has been the Stock Trading Reality Podcast. Thanks for taking the time to hang out. To learn more about Clay and the Clay Trader community, including the trading team, premium training, and more, visit claytrader.com.